Hello, America, and happy 4th of July. Now, this is just a public service announcement. If you are either a left-wing extremist or a right-wing extremist, if you are either a LGBT extremist or a Christian extremist or a civil rights extremist, if you are any sort of political extreme, you're probably going to want to press the stop button right now and tune me out because I will be offensive. See, I believe the majority in America are not extremists of any view. I believe that most of us are middle ground and are sane, rational people that either don't react with our heads stuck up our butts and on emotion, or we take the time to think things through before we react. And I am so sick of the division in this country and the extremes being the only ones that are being heard. They have the loud mouths. Granted, I have one too, obviously, or I wouldn't be making these videos. But it's the old saying, he who speaks loudest wears the fattest crown. People are only listening to the extremists. And it seems divisive and like everybody is an extremist, and it's drumming up more division. So this is about not being extreme. Okay, first off, let's talk about the far left. I always start with the left for some reason. I don't know why, before I start bashing the right. So here we go. You have some extremists who are against the Confederate flag. Okay, well, a reasonable person can look at that and say, okay, well, maybe the flag shouldn't be up. Let's take it down. Let's have a vote. You know what? I kind of agree with that myself. And you know what? The South Carolina legislature was debating that. The governor called for it. It was in the works. People had thought, hey, it's time to take this flag down. It's gotten to be a symbol of hatred. Maybe it's not appropriate. Democracy was functioning the way it should. We live in a democratic republic. We have elected representatives that make these decisions which we vote for. There is a rule of law. There is a rule of law in this country. Bree, this wonderful lady on her period, decided to unilaterally climb the flagpole and take down the Confederate flag because it must come down now. Who the hell are you, lady? That was not right. You broke the law. Okay? There were a lot of people that wanted that flag down. But there were a lot of people who didn't want that flag down. You can't decide by yourself something should be taken down that half the Southerners support or half the country supports. That's up to the democratic process. You broke the law. See, this is the problem with the left. They decide, oh, this shouldn't be this way. That's my view. My view must be right, so I'm going to impose it on everybody else. You see it time and time again. I hope she rots in a jail cell, Michael Moore. I've got news for you. She broke the law and she desecrated a flag that a bunch of Americans support. This is a democracy. One individual or a small group of individuals does not get to tell the rest of America what to do without going through the fair democratic process. Do you hear me, liberals? Do you hear me, left wing? You don't get to ban things because you don't like them. It is a republic and a democracy. Your view is not everybody else's view. So stop trying to impose it on everybody else. Now, Confederate flag issue. Once again, the Dukes of Hazzard. My God, people, I watched that show. It's funny. What's next? All in the Family with the Thought Police, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, F Troop. These are all shows made at an earlier time that were offensive, but they were comedies. You are not the thought police. You do not get to tell people what they can and cannot watch. This is still America. Now, I will pause for a moment to attack the right wing. We'll get back to them later. But, guys, cut the crap about this being a matter of freedom of speech. Walmart's got the right to ban the Confederate flag. Amazon does. That's not taking away free rights. That's called capitalism. They're worried about people boycotting them. That's the actual democratic process. If you don't like something, you don't shop there or you organize a boycott. That's not somebody destroying freedom. That's a private corporation exercising their freedom to make money. So let's get that straight, right wing. Nobody's banning these things. There's a bunch of people that would care to do that, but that's not what's happening when these corporations, whether it's the Donald Trump issue with the immigration or whether it's Walmart or Amazon or whoever's doing it, are pulling these products. They're afraid of losing money. That's what corporations do. They're there to make money. So that's not the government banning things or infringing on your freedom. That hasn't happened. Okay, so now let's talk about the left a little more. Let's talk about gay rights and extremism. Okay, last I heard, sorry if people get offended, it was the American flag. That's American flag, not American fag. Okay? I supported marriage equality. I still do. I support, in fact, a constitutional amendment or equal protection under law where you can't get fired because of your sexual preference, which we still need to do in this country. Equal rights is as American as anything else. That's what we need to strive for. In fact, I thought the gay marriage thing was putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, because you can still get fired because of your sexual preference in this country, and that's wrong. People that are refusing services and things, we want equal rights for everyone. But when you start waving the rainbow flag in somebody's face and talking about people respecting you and your views, and you can't respect the 50% of the country that disagrees with you, give me a break, you hypocrites. Give me a break. I'm sorry, but when people decided, and once again, I'm talking about the extremes here. Do not misunderstand me. There are some great LGBT activists out there. There's some great left-wing progressive activists, right-wing. I'm targeting the people that take these extreme positions. Okay? When you took the American flag and turned it into the rainbow flag, you dishonored the memory of every American that died for that flag, and you should be ashamed of yourself. That's disgusting. That's disgraceful. It was not the rainbow flag. That's the American flag. Fly the gay rights flag all you want. Okay, that's fine. But don't try to change the American flag. Likewise, what the hell was the point of changing the photo of the Marines on Hiroshima to the gay rights flag? That was a World War II photo. People were fighting for freedom and died and lost their lives. And you're making it about gay rights. What the heck? Are you sick in the head? These are all extremes. Now, another extreme there, and I've said it about it in the other videos, I'm not going to go into it. Okay, I am sick of the gay rights people, the LGBT activists who say that anybody disagrees with them is committing hate speech. There was a nutty Christian lady on TV, and I thought she was pretty ignorant and nutty, talking about how it's against God and gay marriage is the downfall of society or whatever. I disagreed with her. But you should have seen the hate she got. She was simply stating her opinion, saying, this is wrong, this is evil, this is against God. And she said, come on, be saved, accept Jesus. It's an opinion. She was coming from a moral point of view, and you're labeling that hate speech? People that disagree with what you do or find what you do to be morally wrong are not hate speech. They don't need to be banned. They don't need to be suppressed. They don't need to be locked up. And they don't need to be re-educated. And that is not hate speech. Hate speech is going down the street calling somebody a fag or beating them over the head and things like that, or things like that that are hateful and bigotry. Not saying, hey, I disagree with you. I think what you're doing is wrong. Okay? Because if that's hate speech now, I guess nobody can tell anybody what they do is wrong anymore. Now, on to the far right. Now, this is good, guys. If you're still with me, pay attention to the far right end of this. Okay, we have today a gentleman in Washington, D.C. that is there to overthrow the government of the United States of America. He unilaterally decided, and he's very right-wing, he's got all the talking points of all the conservatives, the Christians, the fundamentalists, you name it, he's got the whole right-wing bag. And he's got thousands and thousands of people following him and supporting him on Facebook. He's in Washington, D.C. right now. He rewrote the Declaration of Independence to and he's calling for the arrest and trial of everybody in the federal government, from the president to our leaders, and the forming of a new government. And he's going to D.C. with weapons, saying it's a peaceful protest unless they're fired upon first. There's at least, by my count, 37 armed individuals in Washington, D.C. right now who have unilaterally decided that they are going to overthrow the government of the United States of America. Okay, guys, your cause, your passion, whatever. We live in a republic. Same thing I was saying about the left and the flag lady, except thank God she didn't take up weapons and call for the overthrow of the government like you did. That is borderline treason. I say borderline only because the Constitution has a very strict definition of treason. And if you read it, you would know that, okay? You talk about Constitution, using the Declaration of Independence. Well, it says right in that declaration, governments long established shall not be overturned for light reasons. So you, one individual in Texas, unilaterally decides it's time to take action and overthrow the government of the United States? And you go there with weapons? Hello? This is a democracy, a republic. The president, whether you like him or not, was elected in a democratic process. All of those congressmen, you have representatives. You have freedom. You might not like the direction of the country, but who are you? One American, or a small group of Americans, to unilaterally decide the government is going to come down and you're going to overthrow it? And the sick part is, there's people all over the country supporting this dude on Facebook. There's a few individuals who've said, hey, you're not right in the head, man, let's think this through. But people are cheering him on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the right-wing extremist. Okay, let's talk about the Christian right-wing extremists, the fundamentalists who want to single out homosexuality as the downfall of society. Get a grip, folks! Get a grip! Pick up your Bible and read it from Genesis to Revelation, instead of cherry-picking the verses that weren't even in there when it was written. The Bible talks a lot more about issues like hospitality and being kind and loving each other. It talks about caring for the homeless. It talks about greed. Stop cherry-picking. Stop talking about God being against gay marriage. Gay marriage wasn't mentioned in the Bible. Jesus was against gay marriage. No, Jesus said a marriage, when he was asked specifically, was between a husband and a wife, that man shall leave his father and mother and be joined. But he never said, oh, by the way, I'm declaring marriage is between a man and a woman only. It's not in the text, so stop saying that. You know why? Because there was no such thing as gay marriage back then. That's what the LGBT community and those who are Christians and gays are trying to tell you, that it was a different time and a different context. Be real. Be loving. Okay? If you're not going to attack the person that's getting divorced, don't attack the homosexual. If you're not going to attack the person charging interest and working for debt collectors, don't attack the gay dude. And when you start posting signs in hardware stores, for instance, no gays allowed, come on. You might have that right now under law, and hopefully that will change, but where is the Christianity in that? Where is the love in that? That's an extreme. You're making other Christians look bad. So, here it is, folks. We have the extreme left, and we have the extreme right. America is not about extremes. We are a divided nation, but we are a pluralistic nation. We have atheists. We have... Oh, let me pick on them for a minute. Atheists. If you're offended at a prayer or a statue or because somebody's in uniform, you don't have to listen to it. Don't tell somebody else that they can't pray in public or they can't have a statue. You know what? Constitutionally speaking, as long as they're just as willing to put up a statue of any religion, whether it's a Hindu god or a pagan god, that's constitutional. Now, you cannot ban people, atheists, and activists on the left there from speaking about their religious view. And you know what? I don't care if they're in a uniform or not. Whether it's Sheriff Grady in Florida or the general who spoke, you cannot do that. That's freedom of religion. People have the right in private to express their views to other individuals. That is a First Amendment right. And any law that says they don't, I don't care if it's a military code of conduct or a local law, is against their constitutional rights. Because they have the right to freedom of expression. And they have the right to express their views. Likewise, Christians on the far right, we were not founded as a Christian nation. Get it straight, guys. There is no such thing as America being a Christian nation. America was founded by a bunch of deists. They had a belief in a higher power. In fact, they were against and went on record in the other documents, not necessarily in the Constitution if you do your research, of being against an established religion. Just about all of them. Jefferson chopped up the Bible and made his own. That's not a Christian nation, guys. We were founded as people with a belief in a higher power. A pluralistic religious society. So get that straight and cut the crap with we need God back in our schools and we need public prayer and we God in America again. God was not meant to be in America. I don't think God needs America. We don't need a theocracy in America. We do not need a theocracy in America. And let me tell you, if you want a theocracy in America, you might as well invite ISIS in, because that's what they're fighting for. So those of you who want to force public prayer and public morals and statues of the Ten Commandments on people and make the government actually endorse it, well, you're no better than ISIS, except you haven't used weapons yet. Likewise, those on the left who want to deny people their freedom of religious expression, to assemble, to speak, who will sue anybody that even has a Ten Commandments thing on their door, who will say people can't speak in public if they're part of the government about their personal faith. You're messed up. That's not separation of church and state. That's a denial of religious rights. I think I've just about covered everything. The point is, we have extremes in this country right now, and they're the only ones speaking out. It is time for those, what I believe is the majority of Americans, to speak up. When you hear these people speak, point it out, call them out, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's in person, and say, no, what you believe is not what I believe, and this is America. People can believe and think differently. You don't get to make the rules. That's what I'm saying. See, we have a big problem in this country right now. I've expressed some strong opinions, obviously. I'm very passionate, but I will never, ever try to force what I believe on another person. And I will never say, because I'm passionate about this cause, this should be the law of the land. That's the problem. We've become so self-centered, the majority of people in this country, so self-centered that you believe what you believe must be right, therefore that must be law. That's not the way the nation works. Respect others, respect their views. Okay, I said I was done. I'm not done. Let's talk about the Occupy movement and the riots and the extremes that were going on in the civil rights movement. Didn't touch on that much. Okay, when you're shutting down a mall or a public park because you believe in your civil rights cause, you violated the civil rights of other Americans. You violated the right of the family to use that park. When you go do a sit-in at a restaurant where people are trying to eat and not be disturbed and have nothing to do with your cause or your politics, you've created a public disturbance and you've violated their rights. So don't talk to me about civil rights when you're violating the rights of other Americans to go about their normal business and not be bothered by you. That's wrong. Same thing with rioting, but I think that goes without saying. Rioting is wrong. End of story. So I'm not saying all civil disobedience in every single case is wrong. Do not misunderstand me. But in the cases they're being used, it's wrong. Hey, let's talk about transgender bathrooms. That's been the topic lately, too. You know what? I'm for transgendered people having rights as well, whether I agree with it or not. You know what I'm not for? Forcing straight people and families that are afraid or ignorant of them to use the same bathroom. Give me a break. That violates that parent's right. That's wrong. You cannot force and unilaterally establish people to go against their own moral views. Okay? If you want your own bathroom, I've seen unisex bathrooms. They're at many public places. Walmarts, whatever. I totally agree with that. Okay, let's have a unisex or an asexual bathroom. That's fine. But when you seek to impose your views on other people who disagree and object and violate their rights, that's wrong. And that's evil. I've used the word before. That's evil. It's that simple. This boils down to basically the extremes on the left and the extremes on the right trying to force their crap upon the rest of America and making people, legitimate people, good, sane, logical people in those causes look bad. When you start desecrating the American flag and talking about hateful things and you're a part of the LGBT community, you make the whole community look bad. And I've seen the reactions of people who were supportive and then they see that crap and they get unsupportive real fast. When you're a Christian and you start spewing hatred, you make Christians look bad. When you're a far-right person and you start talking about overthrowing the government and put on your tinfoil conspiracy hat, you make people fighting for liberty look bad. When you're in the say you're part of the civil rights movement and you start advocating riots and disturbing people while they eat dinner and blocking bridges and tunnels for causes that are questionable, you make the civil rights movement look bad. It is time for the majority of this country who do not have these extreme views to stand up to them and say, I don't want to hear it, you're wrong. You know why? Because one person who believes they're right does not get to decide for everybody else what they do. You hear me bringing the flag? That wasn't your decision to make. You hear me, Mr. Texas guy over there in Washington? It wasn't your decision to overthrow the federal government. These are decisions that are left up to representative democracy. For the people and by the people. You don't get to decide because you feel you're right and you're self-righteous. This is the way it should be, and you impose it on everybody else. Have your view. Have your view strongly. But don't let the rest of us put up with your crap. And now that is the full story. Extremists, get a grip. And that's all I have to say.